Last week, we saw the market flush down and made a low, and then on Friday, we had a huge bounce, over a 2% bounce on Friday. You see that recently it broke the 30-week moving average and also this trend line here. This is a multi-year trend line. Started back in October 2023. So have we seen the bottom from this correction or this pullback? And is this a bounce, just another dead cat bounce? And also, did the market capitulate? Well, in this video, we're going to try to answer some of these questions. So stay tuned. Welcome to another S&P 500 weekly analysis. This is a video segment of the analysis that I will be discussing the possible price action scenario for the E-mini S&P 500 future, the ES, the ETF for the S&P 500, the SPY, the E-mini NASDAQ 100 future, the NQ, and the NASDAQ 100 ETF QQQ. And for more context on the market, I will refer you to my newsletter, The Pulse of the Market at substack.com. You will find a link to this post in the description below. Let's take a look at this new high, new low chart here and then see could we find an answer for the question, did the market capitulate? We see here, back a week ago, we saw this day a huge spike on the number of new 52-week low. And you see the delta between the new high and the new low also spiked down. And the last time we saw this spike down was back in December of last year. And then we also saw a little bit of a spike down at the beginning of January or mid-January here. Now, this could be a short-term capitulation because you see that the market went down and made a new corrective low or a pullback low here on Thursday, and we did not see a delta, new high, new low below this spike down here. And also the number of stock make new 52-week low is actually less than this particular day here. And if we zoom out and go back in time here, back here in the October-September time frame, and that is back in 2023, you see that we saw a few spike here. And you can see here when we put in this October low, we actually had a higher new high, new low. And we did see a lot of stock came in, make new 52-week low. So this could be a sign of capitulation, which we could see some sort of short-term capitulation. I believe this right here, we might see another bounce and maybe another pullback to a low. And if we do not see a lower spike down on the new high, new low, then this could be a confirmation to tell us this could have been the capitulation for the internal market. And looking at this cumulative AD line, the New York Stock Exchange, we see that it is actually put in a slightly higher low here compared to this low on the AD line. But if you look at the closing basis of the S&P 500, this close on Thursday, it's much lower than this close. So it gives us a positive divergence here. And so that is also another positive sign that at least we could see a short-term bounce from the S&P 500. Now, how big of a bounce that we'll see? Let's go and take a look at the price action of the S&P 500 future, the ETF, and also the NASDAQ future, and also the respective ETF. All right, let's take a look at the ES here. Remember, we're talking about this 5,800 zone here, right? It was key for this zone to be held. And if we break this zone, we basically was looking for this thing to come down to possibly this 5,600 zone. And you could see that last week it came down to this zone and spent most of the week just chopping around at this zone here. Remember, the reason why we look at this zone here is that there has been some price support and resistance around this price area. So right now, with the backdrop of possible bounce that we might be seeing for the coming week, then we basically want to see, would it be able to come up and come back and back test this 5,800 area? Okay, on this back test and this 5,800 area, there's two possible scenarios that we'll keep an eye on if it get up to this level. One is, would it be able to move to and come up to this 5,900 area here? Now, if it's unable to do that and be, coming back down, then we be looking for the possibility of come back down to retest this area here, this 5600 zone, and see what it holds. If it doesn't, then we're basically looking at the possibility of coming down to this area near this 5300 zone, and that would put in a lower high and a lower low, to complete this little bit of a pullback here, and then we'll reassess when it get down here to see is this pullback has been completed, or are we looking for the possibility of coming down to this 5100. So that is the scenario that we'll be watching for the coming week on that. And here's what the market is pricing in for the coming week. It is pricing in the range, the upper range, right at this 5800 zone here. It's between 5830 and 5761.75. Now look at the lower range. It's pretty tight, very narrow. It's somewhere around that 5500 area. Okay, and it is at this high volume node. Also, we have a high volume node here. So most likely we probably will see a bounce, and maybe the market is trying to come up to this 5800 area for the coming week. So just keep in mind that possibility. Now, of course, anything is possible, right? We could see a flush down here to the 5300 as well, because next week we have the FOMC. We got the rolling of the contract to June, and then we also have the quarterly OPEX or whatever, on this thing here on the S&P. So there's going to be a lot of turbulence and volatility. So keep an eye out for these price zone here and be careful. Now let's go and take a look at the SPY. And here looking at the SPY, you can see that SPY came down and pretty much hovering down at the lower range for the entire week. And not only until Friday's close, it came back inside of the weekly range here. And you see that it's broken down from this zone here, the 565 area, this zone here. And it broke down and came down, and right now it's trying to back test this. So what we're going to be watching for the coming week is to see what it be able to come back up and back test this area here, this 580 zone, and see what it be able to, move to and push up, into this near this 590. And here's the upper range for the coming week. Let me put this in. See, so the market is pricing in somewhere around this 580. Right, the upper range is very tight, okay, very narrow range is 576. So we'd be watching to see if SPY be coming up here and see what it be able to push through and come up to this 590. And similarly to the ES, if it's unable to push through this 580 and get rejected back down, then we probably will see it move down to this lower range and possibly come down to this 540 zone, and that will be probably in the next potential support area that we'll be keeping an eye out for, to see would it be able to hold this 540. And again, if we get rejected anywhere up here and then come down and take out this low, then we'll basically have put in a lower high and a lower low, and that will continue this downtrend here. And here looking at the NQ, you see the NQ broke down from this 20,000 zone here last week. And it came down just kind of chopping around at the low range here at that 19,500 area. And only, it's just like the SPY and the ES, it came back into the weekly range at the close on Friday. So for the coming week, we're going to see would it be able to get a bounce back up into this 20,000 area and possibly push up. Now here's what the market is pricing in for the coming week. The market is pricing in this 20,500, 20,250 area here. So it's just right above this zone here, this 20,000 area zone here. So we'll be watching for a bounce possibly up here to the upper range and see what it be able to push through it and come up and possibly work its way back up to this 21,600. Now, if it is unable to push through this 20,000 area and move up and get rejected back down, then we'd be watching for a retest down here, or coming down to this 18,800 zone here, and take out the lower range of the expected move, and then we'll see will it be able to hold this area, and if it doesn't, the 18,300 area, 18,400 area, this particular zone will be of interest, because here we see a lot of tests of support and also resistance. So this would be the zone to keep an eye on if it breaks the low from last week. And here looking at the QQQ, you see the QQQ also came down to this 470 zone and basically chopped around at the lower range of the weekly expected move and closed inside of the weekly range here at the on Friday's close. So right now we're basically looking for a possible bounce to see would it be able to come up to this 490 area and possibly push up into the 510 zone. And it is unable to push through this 490, and let's say we get a bounce and get rejected back down, then we'd be looking at a retest of this zone here down at 470 and possibly break this zone and come down to this 450 area where there has been prior support and also multiple resistance area. Now, in looking at the coming week, this is what the market is pricing in for the coming week. And it is pricing in just above this 490 zone here at 495. And also at the lower range is, again, just right beneath this 470 zone. So we'll be watching for the possibility of maybe push to up at this 490 area and see where we get a rejection and pushes back down into this 470 zone and possibly into this low range. Then we're going to be watching closely to see would it be able to hold this 470. If it doesn't, we'll be looking for this move down to the 450 area. Before I give you my closing note, be sure to smash the thumbs up to help promote this video, and also subscribe to this channel if you are new to this channel. Now, looking at this cash index of the SP 500, we see that two trend lines that we're actually watching. The one here is the October low from 2023. And then there's another one here is from the October 2022 low. And we see that it broke down from this zone here, somewhere around this 5,900 area here. And now it came down to this 5,700 zone. So right now we're basically watching the possibility of coming down to test this 5,400 zone. Now, with the backdrop, remember we talked about the internals. We saw some positive divergence, and we also saw some possibility of earlier capitulation on the new high, new low. And we could see a bounce coming off from the last week's low. And how big of a bounce that we could see, that will be depend on would it be able to get above this zone here, somewhere around this 5,900 area. And if it's unable to get to this 5,900, then most likely we'll probably see a retracement back down and retest this 5,400 on the cash index SP 500. Then eventually we might even see a possibility of coming down to this 5,100 area and basically test this trend line here. This trend line started from 2022 October low. So definitely there are a lot of moving pieces here for the coming week, but we could see a dead cat bounce coming next week, even though a lot of people are going to be focusing on the FOMC meeting. I think that is probably already baked in, and the market might not be showing any surprise to whatever the Fed had to say. So good luck on your trading, and thank you for watching.